Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in our Omni-Channel oven today. Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A 8. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of Marketing Kitchen TV. Welcome back, marketing chefs. I'm delighted that you're here for episode 8 of Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A live, right? This is where I take your Twitter questions. So if you've asked a question here at Marketing Kitchen TV with the hashtag Q&A, I have answered I'm about to answer your questions here. So if you'd like to ask a question of me, please go to Twitter, go to @MarketingKitchenTV with the hashtag Q&A, and I'll answer your question right here on YouTube. I've also started a new @MarketingKitchenTV Instagram page, so please, I'd appreciate it if you would join that channel, and then you can see the latest announcements about when I'm posting videos there. Well, I'll also do it here on Twitter. Please, if you've not done so already, please subscribe and like this YouTube channel. And it would be fantastic if you could share these videos with your family and friends, colleagues, whoever it might be. And if you would offer a comment down below, all of these things help to increase the viewership of this particular channel. And I would greatly appreciate that if you would do that. Just have to check one thing real quick right here. Okay, and all right, all good. I can get going. Let's see. Zane has the first question for this episode 8, and it is similar to a question that I answered in episode 6, but I'll take it anyway. But just so you know, you can, if I didn't get what you wanted out of it here, you can go to chapter or episode 6 and listen to that there. This is the third video in a row that I'm recording here. What I'm trying to do is take a segment of the day to record as many videos as I can, the time will allow, and then I will release them in subsequent days so that I'm not donning the red shirt. I mean, we're all working from home, or most of us anyway, are working from home, not all. Some of us are not working. Or you could be in a situation like me, as I'm working from home and I'm not getting paid for it, other than, of course, teaching for UMass. So I'm just developing content and stories and videos and doing posts, and we'll see where we come out on the end of this lockdown due to this virus and this outbreak. But the way that we're all going to do it is if we work on it and we do it together. And I'm hopeful that later on in the month of April, which I'm recording this on March 31st, but April 1st starts Q2, and that's when I hope to launch AppFlix, and we'll see how that goes as the streaming economy moves. I think one of the biggest new players coming into streaming will be HBO Max, and that'll be brought to you by AT&T and Time Warner, and of course the owners of HBO and Cinemax. So that should be the biggest competitor anyway to Netflix. And of course there's Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV Plus, and of course, as I mentioned, Netflix, CBS All Access. There's a ton of people in the streaming TV space, and a lot of them came out at the right time because that's probably how a lot of us are consuming content during this particular time. But anyway, that's what AppFlix will be focused on, and I'm really interested in that space and that industry now. And if any of you, by the way, are interested in doing written reviews or like a written entertainment blog, or if you would be interested in a new platform, I will, it'll be both, I'll probably be covering, as I say, but for AppFlix, I'll probably be covering on TikTok, YouTube, as well as the Auteur X section of my AppFlix website that I'll be launching in Q2. But if you're interested in doing written reviews of films, TV shows, video games, or music in the streaming space, did I say games as well? Video games? If you're interested in that, doing written ones or doing video ones, let me know in the comment section below, because I can't pay you at first, but it'd be a good platform for you, because my social team will promote the content that you write for AppFlix on our website and on our social channels. It'd be a great opportunity for you to get your name out there. And then, you know, when you become super famous, I'll either have been paying to keep you on board, or you'll break free and you'll do your own thing. But anyway, I throw that out as an opportunity for any of you that you're in that space and you would like an opportunity to have a channel or a network to promote the work that you're doing, as a number of people do to get started. Once AppFlix launches, I'm going to be putting a lot of money behind it on sponsored posts and advertising. And yeah, and even your posts would be things that I would be sponsoring and promoting again on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever the channel might happen to be, whatever is necessary to grow AppFlix as a brand. Okay, Zane, you asked the question, why is smart marketing strategy important for a business? And if you'll remember from episode 6, I believe it was, I had talked about SMART. It's always good when asking a question on a platform like this to define what you're doing. So like, Zane, this is a great question, but you've got 280 characters and you only made use of 70 of them or so. So what is SMART? So SMART is basically measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based, right? So as a way to measure success. So why is a smart marketing strategy important for a business? Okay, let me answer your question. First, is it smart for all businesses? And the answer may or may not be yes. Some businesses, there are a number of different metrics or methodologies that one can use. And in the case of those of you who are taking Marketing 479 with me, your textbook offers a number of different avenues that one, I'm sorry about the squeak noise, a number of different methodologies that one can use for their planning. And so SMART just happens to be one of them. One of the good things about SMART is the fact that it asks you to ensure that you have some type of a measurement or a metric, which is important for every campaign. Whether or not it is, I would use sometimes I would say actionable. What good is a strategy if you can't actually put it into action? A number of digital marketing strategies, even traditional ones, are just marketing strategies or plans, communication plans, advertising, whatever it might be, product launch. The objectives are so lofty that they're not actionable. So the best marketing strategies are not ones that are so intricate. They're ones that can actually be put into action. So that is certainly important. Whether the ones that are authentic or not. And then of course, whether they're relevant, and of course, what the time frame is going to be. And so I think it's important that if one is not used to putting together a long-term strategic plan and then putting together those real-time on-the-ground segments or subsegments of that, then utilizing methodologies like SMART can help you in setting those initial programs that you, until you have the expertise in doing that type of strategic planning for your business. So my 2 minutes are up, and I'm going to try to stick to that in chapter 8 or episode 8 here, part 8, whatever you want to call it, so that I can get to as many questions as possible in the time frame. My objective here too is to keep this video shorter overall. So the last 2 that I recorded will be, I believe, the longest of the 8 that had been recorded or will be recorded at this time. So my objective there is to balance it out with some different length videos. And why? I'd like to do A/B testing, and then also too, it depends, that way you can pick and choose based on how much time you have, how much you will expend watching. All right, I'm rambling. All right, Zane, good question. Diana, let me answer your question here. And can digital transformation negatively affect some aspect of a company? Can digital transformation negatively affect some aspect of a company? Okay, great question. Difficult to answer some of these without having a specific, in other words, some more specifics about the organization, but I can certainly talk around it. But if I were a consultant coming into a specific company and someone were to ask me this question, I would have a much more specific answer, because I would already know what that company does, how many employees they have, what their products are, where they're at in their digital transformation journey, etc. Okay, anyway, good thing I'm not an attorney. Oh, so actually I have a friend, as an aside, who is an attorney. And I have told him that he should do a channel like this where he will take questions, legal questions, and then that way he can promote his business. And him being an attorney, he went on about, oh, well, people would need to, do not an NDA, but they would have to sign an agreement that by him answering the question that he's not accountable for whether they do or do not listen to his recommendation. Anyway, he was being such an attorney. But that being said, my caveat here is that I'm just generically answering generic questions as best that I can without specific or pertinent information that's there. By the way, that same friend who's an attorney, who's stuck at home with 3 children, is not used to being in lockdown environment, and he was saying, Ron, I know you have Legos that break up your stress. Do you have any suggestions for me? So every suggestion I made, was not working for him. So I think though what I might do is I might buy a Lego set and just send it to him. Maybe I'll get him started, and then his wife will want to kill me because it's an addictive hobby. But I love building Lego sets because they enhance my creativity. They get those creative juices flowing, and they certainly do. They reduce stress, and they can break up the workday. And I've been building Lego now, I built it as a kid, but since I've been a professional, utilizing Lego as an opportunity to help me express my creativity and break up stress, I've been doing this since about 2011 or so. So anyway, I enjoy it. But I'm running out of space. Don't tell. I'll be doing some new Lego videos shortly. Okay, Diana, let me answer your question. And I'm just rambling on, and I'm taking up time, and I should be answering questions instead. So let us begin. Yes, Diana, digital transformation can certainly negatively affect some aspects of a business. And how can that be the case? Well, because you're shifting from what you were presently doing to a potential unknown. Now, could the change be better overall? The answer hopefully is yes. But in the process of that transformation, then there could be some areas that are impacted. One could be the morale of your employees. Let's say that you were to go from a pure a physical retail situation to a hybrid e-commerce, or maybe to a full e-commerce play. Well, you may still be retaining those employees, but the change of transforming from traditional retail to hybrid to full e-commerce, you could lose those employees along the way because they may not be best suited for that change, right? Just a simple example. You could implement a new supply chain management system or an ERP system that would create, perhaps in the overall or even in the short term, a more efficient process. But as a result of that, there could be retraining that's necessary, and there could be retrenchment or job loss. The use of automation or AI could also lead to that anxiety and then also potentially job loss, but of course greater gains for the organization. So there are ways that digital transformation can negatively impact some aspect. I would say too that for myself, I love teaching in the classroom. I taught as a university professor. I started teaching at Suffolk University in 1994. And yeah, so 25 plus years later, here we are. And since 2009, when I moved to Asia, so from 1994 until 2008, I taught in the classroom. And even though I was digital marketing consultant, I was a marketing consultant, but I specialized in digital because I started in the digital space in around 1996. But even though I loved digital, and I loved all of the aspects of the new technology and channels and tools that were available, when I shifted from teaching in the classroom to teaching online, I must say that there were some negative aspects to that. So for me, there was this personal digital transformation. It was not difficult, but I miss teaching in a real situation. I would love for this to be a live chat or a live stream right here, and I think I'm going to move to some level of that. Blackboard Collaborate sort of does that, but then I don't know. Anyway, so anyway, the negative aspects for me in that digital transformation is I miss the real FaceTime one-on-one interaction with all of you and how it makes sense and to do that. The only way that because I teach part-time, the only way that I can justify, and the reason why I don't have this marketing Q&A inside of Blackboard Collaborate or inside of that Blackboard ecosystem is I can't justify the ROI of this time that I spend to do this if it was just fully contained in Blackboard. University of Massachusetts does not pay me enough. As a comparison, what I make, so for 2 courses, 1 semester, all right, so the time spent, let's say in this case, between January to May, all right, and everything in between. So the amount of money that I get for the 2 courses to do that work for January, February, March, April, and May, I make in 1 single keynote speech. So for me to go fly to a venue, obviously I created the speech in my head, I did the slides, etc. But for me to then, I get on a plane and I fly there. But for the 45 minutes that I'm on stage delivering that presentation, I get paid more than what UMass pays me to teach 2 courses that run from January to May. So anyway, keeping that in perspective, the reason why I'm doing this here is because there could be potential greater ROI, because not just you as my students are watching, anyone. So people from corporations are watching, people who are not attending UMass or don't have the money to attend any university, they're able to watch these videos free of charge and to learn the same way that you are. So hopefully this endeavor, which is a value add to my paying students, as well as to non-paying or whoever my audience might happen to be, it helps us all out. But digital transformation for me from an education perspective has really changed. And some of it is great and some of it's bad. I really miss that personal one-on-one connection that I have or I had with my students when I taught in a traditional space. But from an online perspective though, or from the digital perspective, there is a whole host of other things. We're doing some great things. Can you imagine in a traditional class if I had my students do the assignment that I've asked you to do, which requires you to go to LinkedIn to then utilize the textbook theory combined with an outside source to do an initial post, then for the other half of the cohort to do a feedback reply to that, for you then both to take that discussion onto Twitter, for me then to take it from Twitter and bring it onto YouTube, right? So in a traditional class, there wouldn't be the need for that type of assignment, but I couldn't teach you in the same way, that hands-on way, if we weren't doing this online. So the assignment that I've given you turns you into a social marketer, and I would have loved in 1996, or when I went to university in 1988 to 94, I would have loved to have taken a course like the one that you're taking, to have had somebody give me those social marketing skills so early on, and then utilize that during class time to then become an influencer during the course and then post, or to become some digital marketing consultant, or overall whatever, you know, I talk about hybrid or marketing just being marketing. Okay, anyway, rambling. Diana, great question. Let's see what your second question is. Okay, Diana, you ask, how can a company know their social media marketing plan is in the path to succeed? Is in the path. How can a company know their social media marketing plan will succeed, or they're on the right path towards success? So I'm not exactly sure the tweak of how you want to ask that question, just how it's ended there, worded at the end there, but let me try to answer this one for you. Again, I have to answer it a bit generically just because of the fact that don't have all the specifics of an industry or a sector, whether it might be. So, okay, rambling. All right, how do you know that it will be successful? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can mirror a campaign that you have run before. And if you've not run a campaign before, then you would want to look at case studies of similar social media marketing campaigns, or you would want to hire an external consultant. So either you have the experience internally and you have the history to compare. You utilize case study and research to find similar ones to compare or model with, or you hire an an outside consultant who does this every day, every week, every month for years. And what that individual will do, or that research will do, or that past campaign that you're mirroring will do, is it can help you, guide you on structuring a program with key milestones to be able to, where you would measure the success along the way, to help predict what the future outcome will be of this particular plan. Does that make sense? So for me, let's go to the political world for a second. As a political consultant, if I had, now the district is different, the candidate is different, the issues are different, the amount of money coming in, the media, those things would be different. However, let's say that this candidate fits into the pattern of a campaign that I had run in the past for a similar size electoral district in a similar type election year. So like an on year or an off year, a year where you have a governor running at the top of the ticket versus a Senate candidate versus a presidential election year. So those cycles, you can there's some nuances to them. So you would utilizing them as a predictive model. You could be able to model how or predict what is necessary to achieve success on that particular campaign, so that you wouldn't know, but you'd have a better or clearer path towards success. I don't know if that helps. And so the same thing is true with social. So based on your market size, target audience, the channel that you want to use, and the budget you have, I would be able to construct a campaign based on similar ones that I have done, where and replicate what had succeeded, and of course avoid what had failed, right? And that would be the way that you would go about it. And of course, if you are now embarking on a completely new endeavor, you would put some milestones in place to do like a 7-day check-in, 15-day check-in, 30-day, 3 months, 6 months, and then throughout the year, and have sort of a mechanism to monitor what you've been up to, and then tweak that as necessary for whether or not it succeeded or it is failing. So you want to make adjustments. You never want to just do a campaign and without making adjustments or tweaks along the way, because it will be necessary to make some changes. All right, I hope that answered your question, Diana. I'm not keeping to my 2 minutes like I said I was going to, but great questions deserve great responses, longer responses. Hello, Nick. You ask, do you think that earned media and paid media will be harder to differentiate because of social media bots that pump up views, likes, and genuine comments? Do you think that earned media and paid media will be harder to differentiate because of social media bots that pump up views, likes, and genuine comments? That is an interesting question. Before I answer that, are you all aware of there are markets that have, let's call of them, or mills, let's call them like digital mills or a digital farm, where they have banks of, on one side of the room, iOS devices, on the other side of the room, Android devices, and these phones are plugged into this like central command brain that has like a rotating IP address so that the devices are constantly changing their appearance. And in these mills or these digital farms, in seconds, they can, thanks to bots, create or generate thousands, hundreds of thousands of likes, comments, shares, obviously views. So these are bots, and it's amazing. And so when we have an earned media or a paid play, how do you differentiate that? Well, I'm not sure that is. I understand your question, but let's see how I answer it. Let's play Stump the marketing chef. So earned media versus paid media. Let's talk about how it's really changed today. Earned media is very difficult today. There was a time back when I was in public relations, and so that's kind of where I got my start first, I guess, in sales, and then next was in public relations. But back in those public relation days, earned media was when we would host an event. And so let's say back when I was the assistant marketing director for the Meadow Glen Mall in Medford, Massachusetts, we did an earned media event. I'll give 3 examples here. We did earned media events. One of them was when it was very ecologically sound to be using recycled paper, and we were concerned about the rainforest. Not that we're not today, but anyway, that's when this was a big deal. Like, it's just started being a big deal. So we created a rainforest in our food court. It was this giant tent that had all fake plants on the outside, but when you went inside, it simulated the environment of a rainforest. And we had done these brochures on recycled paper, and they had clip-out coupons, and the amount of money that you spent in the mall on socially conscious products, you could then take that coupon to the register, to the customer service desk, and get mall gift certificates printed on recycled paper and all of that, right? And then we had speakers that came and during different times that did talks, and we did sponsored school food field trips to the mall, etc. Well, that is an earned media event. Why? Because by doing something like that, I then sent out press releases to all of the local and state newspapers, and as well as the TV channels, etc. And back in that day, the newspapers all came, they wrote a story about it. If you wrote a really good press release and gave them really good photos, then they never even came down. They just reprinted your press release and used your pictures in the local paper or in the Herald or the Globe. You would get channels 4, 5, and 7 and Fox 25 and 56 and PBS, and they would come and they would film footage there, and then you'd make it on to your noon, 6 o'clock, and 11 o'clock news. And all of that was earned media to drive traffic to the mall. Today, it's much harder to get that earned media. Why? Because these same print, radio, and of course I had the radio, like we had Kiss 108 as a sponsor, which was I always used Kiss 108 as a sponsor because they were the most popular radio station at the time. We'd get their DJs to come down to the mall. We'd go into the studio and we'd talk, and yeah, that was a great way to create that awareness, right? Anyway, nowadays, those traditional media channels also have websites. And if you want them to do that earned media piece, you've got to buy, that's right, you have to buy advertising space on their online platform. Now, not so dissimilar though, back in that traditional play, we would offer to run an ad in their newspaper or run a TV spot, but it's much more contrived today than it was back then. It really is pay for play. So I said I was going to give 3 examples. I guess that one just, that was enough. But I can think of 2 other campaigns that we did where that was that earned media. We did one where we did a bridal contest, and we really wanted to get younger foot traffic into the mall. So we invited all of the neighboring communities to send like their wannabe fashion models, if you will, to then model dresses, and then we held a competition. But that was a good way to get younger traffic into the mall and have earned media around that. And then another one, the WWF at the time, now WWE, Randy the Macho Man Savage, or the Macho King, who passed away just a couple of years ago, I think. Anyway, a great guy. We had him come to all of our shopping malls because it wasn't just the Meadow Glen Mall that we did. We were in REIT, so we had multiple shopping malls with New England Development, who's now Simon Malls. And so we had Randy the Macho King go to all of our malls in one day, and and it was just fantastic media opportunity. We were covered actually nationally, which was cool. So anyway, you didn't ask the question. So that's earned media. So that still happens today, but it's a lot different. Now we get to the paid media. And that's where you're paying for an advertisement on a social platform, paying for an ad on someone's website. You're sponsoring that. And so when you talk about bots, I don't know that, I think what you might be asking is that how do you know, how legitimate is the metrics of the campaign, whether it be earned or whether it be paid, because somebody could then also pay bots to pump that area up? And that's hard to tell sometimes. You look at The Rise of Skywalker, and not to harp on Disney Star Wars, but the sequel trilogy really was a failure in the sense that it didn't grow the Star Wars fan base in the way that Disney had hoped. It actually fractured the fan base. And one of the things that Disney did, and I'm not accusing Disney of anything, but based on articles that I've read and videos that I've watched, there's a relationship between Rotten Tomatoes and their CEO, who's a former Disney employee, and the favorable reviews that Disney products receive on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you analyze, and there are some YouTube channels that have done it, the favorable reviews of these films appear to be not only by time sequence of when they're dropped, but also the language that is used. And they don't sound like, and because a bot can't do that, because you would then, in order to do that, you would have to replicate thousands of unique messages. And even if you used a bot to do pure mutations of that, they're not going to sound like a generic person talking, not generic, an authentic person talking. They're going to sound generic. So I think anyway, thinking through what your question is there, that it's difficult to measure the success of something because there are people that utilize bots to pump up the volume on these to make things seem more successful than they are. But I hope that I answered your question by talking about the relationship or the symbiosis of earned media, paid media, and then of course fake news media, which is the use of the bots, etc. All right, I'm going to stop this video now. This was I just want to do a screen cap here for fun. All right, this was the episode 8 of Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. I want to thank you for viewing. I will pick up where we left off with Jennifer's questions. And if you have a question here and you haven't asked one yet already, you can go to @MarketingKitchenTV on Twitter, utilize the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. All right, see you in episode 9. Thanks for watching episodes 1 through 8 so far. Hopefully you have. Please make sure that you subscribe and like our videos. And if you have a question for me, then ask it on Twitter. If you want to write a comment to this video, I'd appreciate that, and you can do it in the comments section below. All right, thanks. Keep safe out there. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop. So whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this marketing kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.